When an avoidant encounters someone whose boundaries, self-awareness, and emotional intelligence render their usual tactics completely ineffective, their nervous system registers this person as a unique threat to their defensive structure. They cannot control someone who won't be controlled, cannot manipulate someone who sees through their patterns, and cannot maintain the upper hand with someone who refuses to play their games. Faced with this unprecedented situation, the avoidant deploys one final, desperate strategy that differs entirely from their typical approach, and understanding this shift reveals the depths of both their fear and their hidden desire for genuine connection. They attempt radical vulnerability as a last resort. When the avoidant realizes that emotional distance, hot-cold cycles, and strategic withdrawal produce zero effect on someone with ironclad boundaries and genuine self-worth, they access a strategy they've kept buried beneath layers of defense their entire life. They suddenly become vulnerable in ways that seem completely out of character, sharing fears, admitting patterns, and revealing the wounded parts of themselves they've spent years protecting. This vulnerability operates as their final manipulation tool, but it differs from their other tactics because it contains genuine truth mixed with strategic intention. Their nervous system recognizes that traditional defenses have failed, that this person cannot be controlled through distance or inconsistency. So they attempt to create connection through the one thing they've never offered before: authentic emotional exposure. The psychological complexity here is that this vulnerability is simultaneously real and calculated. They genuinely feel the fear and pain they're sharing, but they're also weaponizing their wounds to create the intimacy bond that their usual tactics couldn't establish. They're betting that showing their soft underbelly will succeed where their armor failed, that this strong person will respond to vulnerability where they remained unmoved by manipulation. The confession of patterns creates plausible deniability. The second element of this final trick involves the avoidant explicitly acknowledging their own patterns and defensive behaviors. They name their avoidance, admit their fear of intimacy, and describe their tendency to push people away. This self-awareness display serves multiple psychological functions simultaneously. By confessing their patterns, they create the impression of someone who has achieved breakthrough self-knowledge and is ready for transformation. They frame their admission as evidence of growth and readiness for change, appealing to their target's hope that awareness equals evolution. But more strategically, this confession provides future plausible deniability. They've warned their target about exactly what they'll do, so when they inevitably return to their patterns, they can claim they were honest from the start. Their nervous system employs this tactic because it recognizes that someone with strong boundaries might be willing to engage with a self-aware avoidant who admits their limitations, even if they'd never tolerate someone who denies their patterns while engaging in them. The confession becomes a sophisticated form of manipulation dressed as honesty. They mirror your strength back to you. The third component involves the avoidant suddenly adopting the very qualities that make their target impervious to manipulation. They become the person with boundaries, the one who values independence, the emotionally mature individual who understands healthy relationship dynamics. This mirroring serves to create the illusion of compatibility and equal footing. Their psychology recognizes that this strong person is attracted to strength, respects boundaries, and values self-sufficiency. So the avoidant temporarily embodies these qualities, creating a reflection that feels like finding an equal. They match energy levels, respect space without becoming distant, and demonstrate the emotional regulation their target has modeled. This mirroring is partially authentic. They're accessing parts of themselves that do exist but remain underdeveloped, and partially performance designed to lower their target's guard. They're showing what they could be rather than what they consistently are, betting that the glimpse of potential will succeed where their actual patterns failed. They make future promises tied to present vulnerability. The final aspect of this trick involves the avoidant connecting their current vulnerable moment to promises about future behavior. They suggest that this breakthrough in self-awareness marks a turning point, that their willingness to be vulnerable now signals their readiness to show up differently going forward. They paint a picture of transformation that hinges on their target giving them a chance to prove themselves. Their nervous system employs this because it recognizes that strong, boundaried people respond to authenticity and potential for growth. By tying vulnerability to transformation narrative, they create an emotional opening in someone who has otherwise remained closed to their advances. The trick works because it contains enough genuine truth to feel authentic, while promising changes their psychological structure may not actually support sustaining long-term.